Hey gang, AV here and welcome to Storytime Part 3. If you missed the first two installments, you can check out my channel and look for the playlist on the right hand side of the screen saying comic reviews, Storytime, in parentheses I believe. Today we're going to be having a look at Marvel Superheroes number 18, which is the first appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this is obviously not the current incarnation of the Guardians, like Rocket Raccoon and Drax and all that, Groot. This is the original Guardians of the Galaxy from an alternate timeline which takes place in the future. And you've got to love our hobby, because only in comics can you have an original team happen 1,000 years from now. You have the four founding members right there. You have Vance Astros, Charlie 27, Matronix, and Yundo. These guys have showed up in this book. They've showed up in Marvel Comics Presents, of the Avengers title throughout the years, numerous times. They had their own series back in the early 90s. And Vance Astros himself here has even time traveled and showed up in the current Guardians of the Galaxy during, I believe it was the Annihilation, or it could have been their own title, I'm not sure off the top of my head at the moment. But they've been around for a long time. I mean, this book came out back in like 1968, I believe. And they've popped up now and again ever since. You have the four founding members here. Vance Astros is actually an alternate reality version of the Marvel Universe proper's version, Vance Astrovic, which was a founding member of the New Warriors and is a current member of the Avengers known as Justice. I won't go into his origin just yet, because the book itself actually goes into a decent amount of detail about his origin, so I'll just wait until we get to that point. Then you have Charlie 27, who was a human colonist for Jupiter. He was genetically enhanced in order to withstand the massive gravity and atmospheric pressures of that particular planet, and as such he is immensely strong and extremely fast despite his size. Next to him you have Matronix, who, like Charlie, is also a human colonist, only his planet is Pluto, and since Pluto is on the outskirts of our solar system, he has full control over temperature extremes, so he can generate hot and cold on command. And then, last but not least, you have Yundo. And it's kind of unfortunate with Yundo, because he's clearly inspired by Native American stereotypes, I suppose. And as such, he was miscolored here on the cover, because he looks like a Native American. They gave him red skin and a brown head crest, when in reality he has blue skin and a red head crest. But he hails from Alpha Centauri, and he's an expert tracker, hunter, and as you can see, armed with a bow and arrow. Only his arrows are actually constructed of metal that's native to his native planet. And when he whistles at a certain pitch, he can control the direction that his arrows take while in flight. So, there you go. The four founding members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's open the book up. And on the inside cover, you pretty much have like a little glossary here. First story is going to be the Guardians, And since I'm already at 5 minutes, I'm not going to be going through the rest of the book, but this book also has 2 Golden Age stories as well. The book was written by Arnold Drake and drawn by the legendary Gene Colan. So here we have Charlie 27 arriving home to Jupiter for some shore leave because he was on the front lines fighting a battle against the Badoon, who you will be introduced to very shortly. He arrives on Jupiter and he's kind of surprised that nobody's there waiting for him. Hops out of the ship. No welcoming party. Starts to walk around to find out where everybody went. There's the Badoon, who have overrun the planet. So he starts to battle them. Knocks one of them into a incinerator. Doesn't really feel too bad about it. Starts to walk around. Can't find anybody. Then he sees some prisoners being taken away. One of them is his father. Sees where the prisoners are being taken to mine some radioactive ore. He knows that the radiation will kill them in a couple of days, so he decides to go and try to find some help. The Badoon guard finds him. He ends up having to fight them again. Heads over to the transporter. Doesn't have time to work the controls, so it just sends him to the last place that it was activated for, which in this case happens to be Pluto. He arrives there and notices it's deserted there as well. The Badoon have occupied Pluto. They're looking for strays and other survivors. They see Charlie. They sick the dogs after him. A hand comes out from a panel behind him, beckoning him to enter. He meets Matronix. Explains that Pluto has been completely overrun as well, and he's the last one they're actually trying to track down. They've caught everybody else. And here's something I've never understood. He is human. He just has a crystalline body, but they never ever explain why he has a machine in his forehead. And that is inside his forehead. He opens up a panel on his head. It's weird. But anyway, he works that panel and it remotely activates Megamaid and rather mean looking butler. These are like rent-a-robot type deals, which he had rigged to attack the Badoon so they can get away. They head over to the transporter, key it in for Earth, and jump in. Now we're on Earth, in the throne room for the capital of the Badoon, who have occupied Earth and completely enslaved the people there. And they have captured Yundo and Vance. Vance has a very ironic story to him, and the Badoon leader was taunting him about it. Vance didn't want to recite the story himself, so they put him in a brainwave mind reading type device. Which projects his story onto the screen. There you have Vance. He's literally being put on ice for hibernation on his way to Alpha Centauri. But because he made the trip back in 1988, they don't have light speed or anything. So the trip is going to take him a little over 900 years. So they have to put him in stasis, and if he wants to survive the trip. And there he is. A scientist is explaining to him that he can't take that suit off once he gets there. Otherwise, he will age 1,000 years. So he has to wear his costume indefinitely. There he's saying goodbye to his girlfriend, although if you read the text, he's actually telling her, I'm an asshole. Forget about me. Trying to make it easier on her so she doesn't get heartbroken to see him go. His ship takes off. He arrives on Alpha Centauri 900 years later. Makes his way to the door. And wouldn't you know, he's got a welcoming party waiting for him there. As the dialogue explains, Albert Einstein was wrong, and faster than light travel is possible, and it was discovered while he was in flight. And they couldn't interrupt his journey, so they just beat him there. And the Badoon laugh at him pretty much, and give him an ultimatum. They say that he can either become a slave, or he can prove his loyalty by killing his friend Yundo. Vance agrees to kill Yundo, but he wants to do it with Yundo's own weapon, namely the bow and arrow. As soon as Vance fires the arrow, Yundo starts to whistle, and he controls the arrow's flight to take out the Badoon instead. Vance and Yundo make a break for it. They head over to the transporter. Just in time for Charlie and Matronix to show up. Both groups are fired up, so of course, being comic books, they decide to fight each other. And you pretty much get introduced to all their powers and abilities at this point. On the previous page you saw Charlie's speed. I'll flip back. Charlie's speed. Matronix freezes the arrow that Yundo is whistling to control. There's Vance using his telekinesis. Charlie shows his strength to pick him up and throw him. Vance actually bounces back and takes out Charlie instead. The Badoon show up. They decide to take out the Badoon instead. Alright. In this tiny panel here, Vance explains they need to find reinforcements because the Badoon have completely overrun the solar system. And since Earthlings have colonized past the solar system, he decides to try to find the lost colony. try to get some human reinforcements. So they teleport to New and find it in ruins. And at that point they decide to scour the cosmos looking for other enemies of the Badoon to hopefully overtake them and reclaim Earth for themselves. And from that point on, they are known as the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, yeah, that was Marvel Superheroes number 18, first appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you like this video, then check out my channel. If you like what you see there, then please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.